Thank you so much.
Okay, for all of you that are here now, on time, I'm going to give you all a gift. For all of you that come here next year, when you go to register, mention my name and you can register for free. Such a deal, right? Okay. We are going to do some hands-on stuff with COD. That is the system that everybody processes their data through in one method or another, through a piece of software in your office or the DLOT on the COD web, or directly into the COD reporting website itself manually. Regardless of how you put it in there, it all goes in there. So what we're going to talk about today pretty much is how to get the information out of there mostly. We're not going to talk much about processing at all or anything like that. It's mainly going to be what that data is in there, where it resides, and how you can get it out. And that's what we're going to start with. This is the things that we're going to talk about here. I'm sorry?
Did you want to introduce us and say what we do?
I've already gotten my first instruction of failure. I'm Wood Mason. I work with the Department of Education, Federal Student Aid, on the Federal Loan School Support Team. This is my partner up here and wife, Barbara Davis. She works for the Funds Management Division, which means she's involved with the dollars. And we have been at the department for almost 20 years, 18 or 19 years. I've been with them for going on 23. So we've learned a little bit about financial aid along the way. Been around here a while and honestly hope to be around a while longer. So anyway, that's who we are. And I apologize for not saying that. You're welcome. Okay, these are some of the things we're going to talk about up here. The person menu searches. We're going to talk about multiple searches, individual searches, counseling, MPNs, plus applications, all of those things. We're going to talk about school data as well, funding and closeout, file share and messages. That's a place on the COD website where we post things that we need to get to you, as opposed to how we did it in the past, where we would send an email telling you something's coming and then send something to you and then send another one with a password. This is much more efficient and a safer and more secure means of doing that. We're also going to talk about the batch menu. It's got some improvements this year, a new anticipated disbursement queue. We're going to talk about that. And lastly, reports. So we've got a lot to get through as we go through here, so let's get started. And we're going to start with the person screen up here, the person menu, if you will. And you can see on the left-hand side of that menu the different options that you have once you go to that person menu. Counseling, MPN, plus endorsers, credit checks, applicant searches, which actually has all of the CPS data for that person, right, that you get on the SAR. And the ICER, that's all in the COD database there. A means of escalating some things for SULA or Pell LEU, a means of doing that. And a couple of others there, a servicer associated with the borrower, which servicer it is. And lastly, the default search up there. You can look for defaulted borrowers on this as well. And on the right-hand side on the screen you see up there also, we've got where we're going to be looking at multiple searches or searches for multiple results. This is a resort. Results, counseling, MPNs, ATS, and plus applicants. The counseling, MPNs, and plus applicants being more tied to what you guys do. In individual results for each individual person, like credit checks. You can see where a credit check was done, the expiration date, what the condition of it is, or the result. Applicant searches, as I said earlier, a little bit about the ISER information or CPS information that we get. And then again, those last two, the servicer and default information as well. For counseling, you can search by SSN, as it has up here on the screen, by a date range of up to 7 days, and different types of counseling. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through here as well. Same thing for MPNs here, search by SSN, the MPN or the ATS. Do any of you guys in here do teach? Didn't think so. We got a 90-day date range for the MPNs that you'll be looking for there on the date ranges, plus applications, a few different ways of doing that, and you can do that through SSN, by school, etc. And as it says up there, and she's pointing to a date range of up to 7 days. So there's a lot of information we're going to take a look at very quickly here as we go through the person menu. Still in the person menu, you can see it up there. And we are going to look at counseling first, searching by SSN, up to 10 unique Social Security numbers that you can enter into the box at the top up there. And that'll bring up those 10 counselings or relative to them if there hasn't been any counseling for them. You can go down to the date range at the bottom there. See if she's got the arrow going down there. Search for a specific award year. Search for all counseling by different types, sub, unsub, financial awareness, and teacher exit counseling there. The ones that are pertinent to what you guys do at your school. This is the result of one of those searches that we've done here. And you can see that the results come back and easily dropped into an Excel type spreadsheet where you can maneuver the stuff and change it around and line it up differently and sort it. It makes it very easy for you to get the information that you need in a manner that works best for you at your school. You can see we have sub, unsub, and plus and entrance counseling for those first 4 or 5 people up there. Then we have only sub and unsub entrance counseling for the one after that. So you can see the information that comes as the result of those searches. Tells you when it was completed, which time that did it. We've got one person up here that did it 2 times, as you can see here. There you go. And again, it'll tell you the type of counseling that that person has done. Lots of information that are in there when you start looking for multiple resorts on some of these things. Yes? Oh, okay. Social Security number, name, date of birth, school, ID, award year, counseling, day completed, whether or not there is an origination on file. Go ahead and say that. Excuse me. Let me get out of the way here for a second.
Sorry. The origination on file and the agreement to serve, which is the ATS, which is for teach, which none of you do, just ignore those columns. It doesn't mean anything. So just if you go for counseling and you want to see, oh, they've done counseling, is there origination on file for them? And you look here, you're never going to see it. So just ignore those columns. I'm sorry.
It's all right. That's all right. You're part of this too. Okay. Let's take a look at another screen here. This time we're going to be looking for peanuts, okay? And you can see we have various ways to search for it up here as well. Social Security number. You can search by the master promissory note ID number itself if you happen to know that particular MPN ID. And you've also got the ability to search for a 3-month date range. So there's 3 different ways here on this screen alone that you can go in and start looking for promissory notes to see if one is there, what the result of it is, and how it pertains to that particular student. And on this screen you can see what we have as a result by running one of those searches. Now, you can see also we have the Social Security number, last name, MPN ID in this right here. Very, very important. The date of birth on the person, the accepted or linked or pending unlinked status of the notes, and you can see those as you run down through the status of all of them, plus the indicator that tells you the type of the MPN. And of course, the sub and unsub master promissory notes are completely separate from the graduate, plus MPNs, right? There's a differentiation between the two. On this screen here, if you look at the MPN ID and you look at the designator there in the middle, the M, that indicates that these are sub or unsub master promissory notes. If they were if they were plus loan MPNs, that designator would be an N. Well, I'm not doing very good this morning. I didn't have any pecan pie this morning, that's why I'm not doing very good, I guess.
Yeah, so I made a mistake when I put this slide together, and I just did, I was covering up a bunch of data, and I just copied everything down, and I copied from the first one all down. So the plus should have an N indicator, not an M, and we will change that and post it after the conference, but just so you know, I made the mistake. It wasn't wood.
Thank you for the exoneration. Another thing to bring to your attention is, if I can get this thing to work here, the status here. See where that says pending unlinked? And if you look over here, you have the first two characters of the first name. A pending master promissory note means that there's no origination record there for that MPN to link to. That's why you have just the first two characters of the first name, as opposed to this one up here at the top that has all first and last name identified for a note that's been accepted and linked to either a sub or an unsub loan. So that gives you some information as well, right? You know that if you look at a pending MPN up here, there's no origination on the system for that MPN to link to. Now, maybe there's a mistake between the identifiers, which are the first two characters of the first name, the date of birth, and the social security number. Or maybe there's just not an origination in there yet. You haven't originated for that person yet. In which case, when you do, if those three identifiers match up, you'll see the next time you run this report, that MPN will be accepted and it'll be linked. And you'll be able to identify the kind of loan to which it is linked as well. So there's lots of information there when it comes to MPNs. And a lot of the problems that schools have, not just you guys alone, but they'll go to disperse on a loan and they'll get that dreaded 081 edit back that says there's no MPN here. Well, this will help you do a little bit of pre-work on it to see if there is an origination there, if it's linked, and if it's linked correctly. Okay, let's keep moving. Plus applications. You can search by the application ID itself. You can find that in the CS response that's sent to you once a parent or grad student does a plus request on studentloans.gov. You can pull that ID from there if you want to use that. You can do it by social security number, last name, or first name, just like we were looking at other things that we were searching for and looking at, or by the student there, by social security number, last name, and first name if it's a parent plus loan. If it's a borrower for parents or graduate professional, it could be a graduate student, right? Because they can participate in the plus program as well, just like a parent can. And then, of course, we have a date range down there at the bottom where you can do a 7-day, 1-week date range to look for those plus applications or plus requests as well that have been done for your school. So another item that we need to pay attention to that we can pull up, and here you can see the result of that as well. You see the application ID itself, and as I said, that's gleaned from the CS file that is sent back to you that you'll see in the batch files that BD is going to talk about here in a little bit. Tells you the social security number, the name, student social security number if it's a parent and dependent student, student name, loan type, award year, submission date, credit check, and credit check expiration date. Now, on this particular slide, there is an error. Can anybody see where that error is? It's very prominent. And it's something we really should have caught early on. When a parent does a PLUS application on studentloans.gov, the fourth step of that process is a credit check. Credit check date, right? But you also see the submission date. And actually that submission date should be the same as the credit check date. It's a mistake that we made on the slide, not a big deal. I will follow my sword and I will say that I made the mistake. She made the mistake. But anyway, just to bring it out, this is not a true representation of what the result is going to look like, because you can't have a submission of a PLUS app on the 5th of September, but us not run a credit check or run a credit check before that. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through it. Ignoring that little mistake, there's still a lot of information up there for you, particularly the credit check expiration date, which is now, how long is a credit check good for? How many? 180 days. We changed that a couple years ago. It used to be 90, now it's 180 days, and that information is right up there for you. Okay, let's keep going on. Let's take a look at some information relative to each individual person that you're dealing with in COD. And we can get a lot of information from those individual screens relative to each one of the persons. Applicant data. Remember I said the applicant data is virtually the same information that is on the Institutional Student Information Record or the ICER Student Aid Report, the SAR. That information is also in COD for you to look up and take a look at. And it explains a little bit there about it. ICER data used to determine eligibility for aid. There's award data there that you can look up. There is MPN data, credit data, servicer data. There is a cornucopia of information when you look under the individual person screens as well. Now let's take a look first at the applicant search. And we're going to run these by the Social Security number, right? And then we're going to be able to pick either the current award year that we're dealing with, that maybe we're looking for some information on, or all the award years that we have CPS data in the system for this particular student. And when we run it through, this one we pulled up all award years, and you can see that this goes back all the way to 10/11 for this particular student. Tells you how many transactions are in the system for this particular student. 1, 2, 3, and a couple of them here. It also identifies the date of birth for this person, the name, Pell eligibility, transaction status. There is a whole bunch of information, CPS information, if you will, that you can see when you select one of these things as well. And you can see here, when we pull up the individual transaction itself, there's all sorts of information there. Award year, date of birth again, some information as far as personally identifiable information, name, date of birth, social security number, address, things of that nature. And then we go on to the other information, verification selection, social security matches, NSLDS information. There's a whole bunch of information here as well on that individual just by pulling up the transaction on that particular person under the applicant search screen.
Since I haven't interrupted you for a little while, can I interrupt you?
Sure, go right ahead.
Thank you. So you get to the applicant list by clicking on one of the hyperlinks. We have a lot of new people in here today. So this screen will pull up if you click on one of the blue hyperlinks on this page. And one of the things that is important for you all, I think that you would want to be looking at if you have a problem with, and I saw it a second, citizenship status or eligible non-citizen, you're going to see that displayed on the CPS transaction. Then that could be some of the errors that you get because somebody might not be a citizen and you might want to come here and check it out on their FAFSA or their ICER data.
And it's also a very easy thing to fix too manually in the COD website. So there's a lot of information on that particular student from CPS. And remember, the CPS data is where we get the information for eligibility purposes, right? And that's all in COD as well. We also can pull up the individual person information screen by going to person, hitting the person search, and you can see the various things that are available to you to look at for that particular person on the left-hand side of the screen. And there's a lot of information there for that person as soon as you pull up that individual person information screen itself. I don't know if we have another screen that comes up on this one or not. Let's go back. Oop. First, you got to be smarter than the tool. But you can see all the information here on the left that you will be able to pull up. Awards, direct loan awards, Pell, promissory notes, counseling, credit check, events, correspondence, all sorts of information. And when you pull these things on the left, the promissory note, the counseling, and the credit check, in the person information screen, you're going to be pulling up that information for this individual, okay? You'll be able to see his or her master promissory note information, his or her counseling search, his or her credit check information. So you're going from pulling multiple resorts initially to where you start getting into a person that you have questions on or you need some information on. And you do that by pulling up these screens here. If we go and we take a look at the awards, you can see for this individual, for the award year 17-18, we have a Pell Award, and we have a direct loan award as well. And like we were talking about, or like BD was talking about a little bit earlier, I should say Barbara, shouldn't I? I shouldn't say BD here, okay. As she said a little bit earlier, it's in blue. When you see something in blue and you click on it, it takes you to a lower level screen under that to give you more detail. So let's click on that, and we pull up the award for this particular person, and you see all of the information for this particular person by pulling up that hyperlink, the direct loan hyperlink. And all the information that we need, academic years, award start and end dates, academic year start and end dates, dependency status, loan fee percentage, transaction, the CPS transaction you're using, when this thing booked. We'll talk about that a little bit later. All that information are relative to that direct loan award is on that next screen that you just borrowed down to get to. And you did it by clicking on that blue link for that particular award. Once we get going down through the award itself, you can see up here we have another selection for disbursements. And we can go to the disbursement screen on this person and see all the information we need on the disbursement screens for the disbursements that are coming up or have taken place. On this particular one, you see here the information on the 3 disbursements that we have, 1, 2, and 3. And you also see some information up here at the top. Oops. At the top as well, up here. And you'll note also down here there's a scroll bar, and by scrolling across, you'll see the other information that's associated with that particular disbursement, dispersed, and the 2 pending corresponding things there, and some other information as well. So there's a lot of information as you start drilling down through the person screens on COD. So now we've gone from, as I said, multiple searches individual searches, down to an individual award, and even down to an individual disbursement if you were to hit that number 1 there. So you can go all the way down to get to that. Some more information up here that we've circled to show you the gross amount, origination fee, the rebate, and the net award for that first disbursement that was made. And we have totals there also for both of them. 4,000, can't read it as a slant like that, $618, along with the origination fees that's associated with the disbursements as well. That's where the origination fee is actually assessed on each disbursement. Okay, a little bit more information there. And now let's go to the promissory notes. Same thing that we were talking about before. We're now on an individual, right?
Can we just go back a slide or two?
Yeah.
So again, this was a person search, and instead of clicking on disbursements, we just clicked on promissory notes to get us to that next screen. That brought up all the promissory notes associated with that student.
And you can see them here. There we go. The different types of notes that are associated with that student. There is a Parent Plus MPN for that student right there. Another one down here. And another one down here as well. So we got 3 MPNs for Parent Plus loans, along with several up here for sub and unsub awards that this particular person has had. A couple of them here that never linked up to anything. Still waiting for originations, but looks like maybe a little bit later on we did another one, and there we got it. So the information, again, by drilling down step by step, it's all there for you to find. It's all helpful, and it's all important to making sure that you can get these awards in there efficiently and accurately, so you don't have to worry about them once they get in there and they get accepted. Credit check status, we're going to show it here as well when you look it up by that person. Social Security number, date of birth, some other information as well. The important things, of course, being that it was accepted and the decision date. And then that decision date is good for, as we said a little bit earlier, 180 days. Okay? Okay, let's keep going. Borrower-service relationship, once the award is booked, it goes through the COD system, comes out on the other end, and it goes to one of the servicers. The whole focus, once that loan books, which is an accepted origination, an accepted promissory note linked to that award, and an actual disbursement associated with that award and promissory note, is sent over to a servicer through what is called the loan distribution engine part of COD. And the focus of that, as I said, is to get that loan with the same servicer that has that particular student's other loans, if any, exist. Now, if it's a brand new student and this is his or her first loan, it's going to go out and go to a servicer. Once that next disbursement on that loan comes in and it gets booked, it's going to go to that same servicer. If that student comes back next year and does another loan, when it goes through the booking process after it's dispersed, it's going to go to that same servicer that we sent that information to the previous year, trying to keep them all together with the same servicer year after year after year after year. Makes it a lot easier, of course, for the students associated with it. And there's information up here, too, that you can see that is pertinent to that. The school, the servicer's name, this one happened to have gone to Navient for all of them, servicer information, book dates, you can see them all the way back there. And we kept this particular student's awards all with the same servicer through the time that he or she was there.
So one of you that is new, I think that was sitting over here, was talking about getting connected to all of the department's different websites, which is ever so much fun. I know. But I just put this slide in here because I wanted y'all to see, and because I like to compete with NSLDS, but don't tell them that you don't have to go to NSLDS to see who the servicer for your student loans are. You could, if you're working in COD, you can always just look in COD to who the servicer is. And the other thing that just drove me crazy forever, we have so much different terminology in the department, and I just didn't understand what booked meant. And booked, the easiest way to understand what booked means is it's on the servicer's books. So COD took the origination and the actual disbursement and told the servicer, so it's on their books and they now start a relationship with that borrower. And before it's booked, the servicer doesn't know at all about that student or that loan. So if the student calls their servicer, the servicer is going to have no knowledge of that particular loan for that student until it is booked on their books. Make sense?
And the big advantage of booking that loan is that the dollars that you drew down from G5 to disperse to that student, it's no longer your obligation. That's between the Department of Education and that borrower. They're back in, it may not be in repayment, but that's where the obligation lies. It's no longer an obligation for you guys. When it's booked, you sent in the disbursement data. That substantiates those dollars that you drew, and the obligation comes off of your side of the ledger and comes onto ours. So getting a loan through the system and getting it booked is a good thing. It's something that we want to do and want to see get done as we go through everything. Okay, any questions on some of the things that we've talked about so far? Going once. Yes.
Maybe one question. If I want to see the aggregate loans of the individual students, because I can see which loans have been awarded in year 16, 17, 15, but sometimes there is a new student coming in, he already studied at 4 universities, and I'm worried about the aggregate loans. And it's always quite complicated and time-consuming to just go through individual years with a calculator and calculate the aggregate loans. Is there a trick to get the point?
Question is, and when we start having questions, we want to make sure you get back to the mics here if we have a bunch of questions. That's all right. His question was aggregate loans, right? Because they've got an aggregate limit, and they've also got an annual loan limit, right? And the annual loan limit is there for you to see because you're dealing with it when you're awarding that student every academic year. But you're not going to be seeing the aggregate for that particular student unless, like he said, you go back and you pull all of those years that he or she has been there and start adding them up, right? Go to NSLDS. NSLDS has all of your aggregate information, okay? And it'll tell you how many dollars, sub and unsub, have gone against that particular person's aggregate loan limit. And remember, undergraduates, what's the aggregate loan limit for undergraduates? Anybody know? It's $31,000, right? No more than $23,000 being subsidized for a dependent student. For an independent student, it's $54,000, $58,000.
I have a piece of paper on the wall that I turn to and look, because I don't keep that stuff in my head. Sorry.
It's a little more. But you've still got a $23,000 subsidized loan limit there. So I don't remember if it's $54,000 or $58,000.
I don't remember.
One of the two. Okay, no more questions. Oh, one more. Go ahead.
I had an issue last week, which I hadn't come across before. So I just want to ask it before we get into the practice time. So with the lifetime limit with students, I've got a med student who's reached their lifetime, their third year student, and the cost of attendance has just reached over $100,000. So when I went to do the plus loan, it was rejected because it was close to $102,000. So I spoke to COD and they said that there's a limit on the common record for $99,999.99. So I don't know if you you've had this issue before. So my question is, if the student, for the sake of, I think it's $1,700, I'm trying to discourage them from maybe just sitting at the 99,000. But how do I rectify that problem? Do they have to go in and do another MPN if they want to exceed that common record sort of amount?
Well, if you did another loan for that $1,700, I guess you're saying,
Yeah.
you would have to have another, maybe not. I don't think you would, because the school ID code would match up, and it'd be for the same academic year, so
So how do I do it?
you would go in and do a second loan for the amount of money that you're looking for. And that loan, because it's the same academic year, start and end dates, and it's the same school ID in the loan, is going to link to the MPN that's already been executed for that student.
As long as they pass the credit check.
Correct.
If they didn't pass the credit check and they had to get an endorser, then the MPN is a single loan
Correct.
note. But in your situation, and I want to double check that we do have that $99,999.99 limit.
Yep.
And if we do, it's something that I think we need to consider,
look at,
because I
yeah.
know for medical students, I
It
don't
can
even want to
get
think about it,
costly.
how much debt they do. But we might need to look into changing that. But what Wood suggested would be the right thing to do, just divide it into multiple loans, and that'll
Okay.
link to the same MPN as long as they pass their credit check. Otherwise, you would have to do a second MPN and get a second endorser if they didn't
Okay.
pass.
All right, thank you.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Hi, this is about the timeline between the credit check acceptance and expiration and the origination of a loan. So if we originate before the credit check expires, it's okay, even if the expiration is before the start of the loan period?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about it. If you originate, that triggers the credit check, right? And that credit check, if it's accepted, is going to be right there with that loan. And if you originate in March but don't disperse until September, you're still okay. We're not going to run another credit check. Okay, here we go. Hands-on, that's what we're all here for, right? How many of you have got your tokens with you and are all set to go online? Some of you, I'm assuming, then don't have a token here. Okay. We're going to show you up here how you can get a temporary token so that you can get into the system itself and go through some of these exercises. Okay? BD's going to show you here. You're going to go to the login screen.
So first of all, you're going to enter, if you have it bookmarked on your computer at home and you don't know the URL for COD, it's cod.ed.gov.
Right.
So you're going to need to type in the URL, and then you're going to, I already forgot what I did. Then you're
Go
going
down.
to go back here for a second. Here we, oh, I didn't want to do that. Let me just go to a different tab here. Okay, so then you type it in, you click Login, come down to the bottom of the screen and click Accept, and that will take you to our PIN website. This is why I asked if you had a token, because if you have a token but you forgot it, so you've been assigned a token but you forgot it, you're going to enter your user ID and your password, and then you're going to click Login, and I think, does this mask the password so I can go ahead and do this?
I think so.
Or I'll just change my password afterwards if it doesn't. And actually, let me, if I release you guys, you can't see this, so you're going to need to remember. Go ahead and click Login and click Continue. Don't store your password. Then this is normally where you would enter your token, and if you're like me, I really like to download the soft token and put it on my phone, so it's always with me, because my phone is always with me, instead of having either that little red thing or the black thing or whatever color little hard token that you have. Download the app so that you can generate a token anytime. But if you forgot your token, then just click Token Unavailable. And then I would suggest that you do not send a temporary passcode via SMS, because most of you probably have foreign cell phone numbers, and I'm not sure if that would work here. But just generate a temporary passcode, then click Acquire Passcode. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then since I have been assigned a token, I have to confirm who I am, so I have to answer my questions. And then once I answer my questions, it'll generate a passcode for me, okay? So we're going to COD. You're gonna go down to the bottom, you're gonna accept, you're gonna go to log in, and then it'll take you to the AIMS website, where you're gonna enter your user ID and your password. Going to click Next, then you're going to say you forgot your token, and then you'll have to answer your questions. Generate a token. It'll generate, I think, a 6-digit token for you, which, if it was me, I might probably write that down, although I could get in trouble. You can copy it. There you go. And then you'll need to go back and paste that in, and that'll be your token to go ahead and get into COD.
Now, if you're a new school and have never had a token, or a new user and don't have a token, or you had never had a token at all, even if your boss has a token, you won't be able to do this because you won't be in the system, okay?
And using this token is also what you need for NSLDS as well.
Correct.
So once you learn how to do it here, you'll be able to do it again in your NSLDS hands-on session, okay? So then,
Let's go back to the
I'm trying, okay, go ahead.
couple things here. I'm going to log into COD. I'm going to do a search for your school's promissory notes, counseling, plus apps, things that we talked about here a little bit earlier. Collect or save one SSN, and then search for that person and look at the information specific to them, right? Remember, we went through that individual person thing. Raise your hand when you have found both an MPN or counseling and a loan or grant with an actual disbursement date for that person. And the first one to get through this gets a prize. And we hand out candy too. Okay? Are they released? You all are released. Go to it. And let's see what we can do. If you need help, raise your hand. We've got people here to help you go through this.
Somebody's got Google up, so somebody's getting going. We're having internet issues here, it looks like.
We're not able to open it.
It isn't really working. So frustrating. Yes.
Some people have it. Must be internet.
Yeah, you had a question? Oh my goodness, you've already completed the whole thing? Okay, yep. 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 Okay, we have a winner right over here. He's fast. From, I'm sorry?
Wow.
Kwantlen University in British Columbia. And I can't
Candyman,
even
where's the Candyman?
spell you that. There you go. Yeah, I got your name. Thank you, Emilio. Yes. Candyman's coming. Now, this is actually a wine bag, but there's not wine in there. I'm so sorry. Let me get out and then you can get in and he can grab. Last year we had a basket, but I didn't want to check a basket on the airplane. First person. Yeah, so it's not fair that the internet's so slow.
Yeah, can you just say it's because they were doing it at the same time? It's a little bit slow.
I hope it's not the reason.
That's what you just told me. Acknowledge that,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay, we're really sorry about the internet being slow. I guess our technical people told us because there are so many people accessing at the same time. Hopefully we'll get that resolved. But we'll spend a little bit more time practicing, so if you didn't find your school yet, I'll give you about 5 or 10 more minutes. And you took...
Are we having any luck yet? No. Realize there's a penalty if you don't load in time. The last one has to buy lunch. All right. Were you able to get in? No. Did you try to reload the page?
Yeah, but then it wasn't working after that. On my iPad, it's much more faster, by the way.
Everybody had a chance? No, you don't even still have internet? Can you talk to Joe and see if there's something that can be done? Because, I mean, that's what the hands-on, bring up problems the whole week.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Just wanted to remind you all that because you are foreign schools, that you are required, your students are required to complete a master promissory note every single year. Yep, you all have that, you have that drill down, right? Okay. We're going to go along, but we're not going to grab you back yet because actually, probably because I interrupted Wood so many times, we're running a little bit late. So we're going to, the reconciliation session this afternoon, I'm going to cover most of these school screens. So we're going to skip through this pretty quickly. But there is one section in here that I want to make sure that you are able to do today. So if you're still trying to connect to the internet, you're going to need to connect to the internet. So hang in there, and we're not going to grab your computers back right now. But I'm going to jump through these very quickly, and we're going to go right down to the bottom. Like I said, we will cover this in the recon session this afternoon, to where it says file share messages. One of the things that is, let's see if this is going to go anywhere. Turn it on. You turned it off. Okay. We're going to skip through this. Actually, I do want to go through this really quick with you. Do you all know that you can set your options at studentloans.gov every year from the school menu in the options screen? So I searched for my school, and then pretty close to, let's see, about 5 from the top, it says options. You'll choose your program and your award year. Can you point with the arrow? And then you can choose if you're going to, down under the bottom down there where it says studentloans.gov student options, you can say whether you participate in electronic promissory notes, which of course you want to do, whether you're going to do counseling online, which I would think you would want to do, but maybe some of you do want to do in-person counseling, so maybe you don't want to participate. But this is the screen where you set your options for studentloans.gov. It's actually on COD. Studentloans.gov is where your students go to complete their promissory notes, their counseling, and do their PLUS applications. But you set your options on COD. And you can also set up how, if you want them to complete an award range, if you want to enter that. I don't know if very many schools do that, but you can enter that information there as well, and also when you want them to begin for that year to start doing their PLUS applications. So those are things that you can choose to enter there if you want to. Okay, we're going to skip through this because I'll cover it later. File share messages. As foreign schools, how many of you are able to access your SAIG mailbox and get your SAS or get any of the reports that we send to you? Raise your hand if you can. There's a whole lot of you that cannot. This file share messages is very important for you. You can contact COD customer service either by sending them an email or chatting or calling them and asking them to run an ad hoc disbursement report for you for the year, which would be like your SAS. It'll have all the disbursement data for you, and they'll post it for you in this file share messages place on COD. And you go search for your school, go all the way down to file share messages, and they will have posted a file share there for you. You just click on the title, and it will bring up whatever file you asked for. Say it was a year to date for your direct loans disbursements, and you can download that, save it to Excel. It'll stay there for a couple of weeks, so it's not like it will be there for a year. But this is a great way for you to get some of the reports that you cannot get through your SAIG mailbox. Just ask for an ad hoc report to be placed here for you. We did a little exercise where we put a file share message out there for you, okay? So if you have internet by now, what I want you to do is log into your school, go to file share messages, and pull up the file share that I believe is titled FSA Conference, and raise your hand when you have been able to do that and you know what the file share is. Does that mean you already have it over here? All right. And what does it say? Oh, you got to open it, download it. Shouldn't take long, except with this internet. What does it say? Congratulations, you have successfully downloaded a file share message. That's all there is to it. And this happened to be a Word document, but normally they're going to be in Excel for you. It's easy, 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 easy. Okay? Any questions about downloading a file share? Yes, you have to contact COD customer service and tell them what you want or what you need. And yes. Is there a question over here? Nope, okay. I'm sorry? Okay, so you're under options right here. And here, if you wanted to update your options on studentloans.gov, that's where you would do it.
But when you say to look at the file share messages, to
Okay.
download it, where would be?
File share is right over here.
That would be a different.
Yeah, that was actually a very good question. Her question was, she was on the options page, and I didn't make it clear that file share is one of the choices on the left-hand side. It's not on the options screen. There's all kinds of different menu options under school, and file share messages is one of them. And actually, this is, we do need to grab their screens. Where's Wood? Okay. Can you? Okay, so did I just grab your screens? Okay, so we have some new things in COD, and I'm really excited about these things, really excited. I'm jumping up and down. This is what I would do if my knees were not toast. I'd be jumping and twirling. We have some new things in the batch menu. The anticipated disbursement queue is awesome for you guys. It's especially for you guys, so we're going to talk about that. And if we have a chance, we're going to talk about reports. In the batch menu, on all the other pages when you've had gray boxes, there's been one search button at the bottom. We changed this page for some reason, I do not know why, to put a search button in each of the gray boxes. That's new this year. Before there was just a search button at the bottom. You do an individual search by gray box, and in the box of that gray box, then click that search button. So in the top box, we added that you can search for all award year batches or a single or multiple award year batches. That's new. You can also search for up to 180 days. It used to be 60 days, I think, and now you can kill yourself looking at batches and enter up to 6 months at a time. You can search for a particular batch by entering the document ID, or one of the things I like to do, especially if you're having problems with a student record, is search by student at the bottom. And again, choose either the award year, all award years, or a single award year. We also added some things here this year. Notice the document IDs, that's your batch. The record types, what's in there, and most of these are direct loan. There's a teach down there at the bottom and a Pell at the very bottom. And then I added a key for you for the document type so that you could see what those all stood for, just as a reference tool for you to take home. But what I'm really, really super excited about is we broke out the right-hand side and added whether the student record is accepted or rejected, the origination is accepted or rejected, or the disbursement is accepted or rejected. So now, yeah, isn't that cool? Thank you, yay, I was so excited about that too. So we got rid of the warnings because warnings are nice to know, but who cares, right? I mean, you do care, and you should fix it, but a warning still processes, so you still get your money. But a reject, there's no money. So you want to make sure you fix those, and it's nice to know what rejected. Was it the student? Because everything downstream will reject if the student rejects. If the award rejects, you know the disbursement's going to reject. I'm so excited about this. Okay. And that's not all. So you pull up the batch, and notice that at the very top, you've got your school name, you've got the schema version, so you know if you use the right schema for this year, if you submitted via batch. You can filter by the program type. You can see the total awards and the dollar value, the total disbursements and the dollar value, the rejects and the dollar value. But if you go down even further, it's so cool. You can now filter by SSN. You can filter by, let's say you only want to look at your plus loans. And this particular batch only had unsub records, so that's why DLU is all that's listed there. But say you only want to look at your plus loans, and you want to look at your plus loans where the DRI flag is true. In other words, they're actual disbursements. Because if your pending's rejected, that's, you probably should fix those. But if it's an actual disbursement that rejected, that's money, you want to look at those right away. So you can filter by your DRI flag true or actual disbursements. Notice we also put an edit box in there. The edits that you hit by student, that you hit by award, or that you hit by disbursement. So let's say I want to filter by all my true or actual disbursements, and I want to just look at a particular reject, then I would click the reject that I want, and it would just pull up those students. If you click, and then we can export it to CSV, which right down there at the bottom of the screen, right down there at the very bottom, you can always export this to CSV to Excel spreadsheet. So if you have like 1,000 students in a batch, nobody's going to submit 1,000 students, right? Maybe 250, 300 at a time. and you want to go through and look at, and you don't want to have to stay on the screen, go ahead and export it to Excel spreadsheet, print it out, do whatever you want to do with it, and work it one at a time. You can also, let's see if it's on this screen, if you click on the word rejected, notice back on this screen, you'll have under disbursement number, there's a line that says rejected, but there's also one that says edit details. If you click on the word rejected, it'll tell you what specifically about that record rejected. It'll tell you the edit number that you hit. It'll tell you the value that was wrong. So on that first one, student eligibility code, that's a warning. That's not a reject. A warning just does not build in the COD system. It's alerting you that there could be a problem. Not necessarily, but there could be. It's a warning. But a reject does not build in the COD system. There's no money that's going to be available for you in G5. You want to fix those. And Wood is just having a happy time. And then if you click on the word, if you click on edit details from that previous screen, it's going to tell you what the edit means. Okay, so there's two things that we added there this year. Normally we would practice right now, but we're going to go to the next one, and then we'll practice at the end of that one. And here's another one that I'm really excited about. It's the anticipated disbursement queue. And for you guys, if you're using the DLOT to create your records, how many of you use the DLOT? Awesome. So most of you are using your own software and you're submitting records? Yes, if you are. How many of you just do everything online? There you go. One at a time. Creating records one at a time. Okay, that's so much fun. But we have a new way for you to release disbursements now, multiples at a time. So you don't have to do them one at a time. And you do that by going to the anticipated disbursement queue, which is a new link under the batch menu. Can you show them the batch menu and then the anticipated disbursement queue? The anticipated disbursement queue on the left-hand side, right there. So you are going to put in your entity ID type, and if you are a single school, it's likely already populated for you. Then you'll select the award year that you want to process in. Probably most of you are only processing in 17-18 right now, but maybe there's a few of you that have some 16-17 records out there you need to clean up. But I'm going to say we pick 17-18. You're going to pick direct loans. You have to pick a program. Anything that has an asterisk has to be filled in. You're going to pick your disbursement date range, which can be, yeah, I want to know the disbursements for next week. Or it can be, I want to know if there were disbursements for the last 6 months that are still anticipated or pending, and I want to clean them up. You're going to, the disbursement status, you'll want to pick pending. And then in the disbursement amount, there are several things you can choose here. You can choose pending disbursements greater than 0. Or if you want to look and see if you zeroed out disbursements, you could choose disbursements equal to 0. Generally, I would choose greater than 0. And it pulls up, I'm going to skip that, we'll get into that later. It pulls up all of your records that you've got for that date range that you entered. As long as you don't need to change the disbursement amount or the date, you can just select as many of those as you want to. You can select up to 100 at a time, and it'll pop those puppies into a batch. In this case, I just chose 3. And I'm going to, it pulled up the 3 records. Notice it gives you a total down at the bottom, the selected disbursement amount, so you know exactly the amount that you're dispersing and the amount that your bursar should draw. And then you can hit submit. If you hit return to disbursement list, it will not process those disbursements. And that's important because I want you guys to do this, but I don't want you to submit. I want you to hit return to disbursement list, okay? Should I go through that one more time, what I want you to do, or should I cut you loose and see if your internet's going to work to do it? Well, shall we go for it? Let's go for it, okay. Can you cut them loose, Wood? Oh, and when it tells you if you have any rejects or warnings or whatever in the batch. So now I want you to do, I really want you to do the anticipated disbursement queue part of this lesson. So if you'll go to batch menu, select your anticipated disbursement queue, You can do past dated by program through December 2017, or you can do future dated for this next week if you want to. Notice how many were reduced, or you can create a batch. And you know you can create a batch of records up to 7 days in advance if you want. Raise your hand when you have an answer. Remember, don't click submit. Are you working on an iPad? We have a tie. Okay, how many records do you have the total of what you were supposed to? $56 disbursements? Very good. And how about you? 18? All right, 2 winners here, same time, it's a tie. So how many of you already knew that you could create a batch of disbursement records online? Have you been doing it already, and is it working for you? Cool. All right, my next goal here is to be able to let you change disbursement amounts and disbursement dates. That's what I want to work on next, but you can't do it yet. But we'll give you a few more minutes to practice this. Is anybody still having internet problems? Okay, most everybody's online now, though? Just a few people, okay. I'm really sorry about that. Question is, over here, should you choose to do batch, or is it better to just go ahead and release them individually? If you only have a handful of students and you really want to make sure, or you have to change the disbursement date or the disbursement amount, you have to do it individually. You can choose to do it if you don't need to make a change. It's totally up to you. You do not have to submit a batch. You can do them one at a time, especially if you just have a few students. And also, if their students are at different levels and your disbursement dates aren't even close to the same, you might want to do them individually still. That was a really good question. How many of you know that you can submit disbursement records up to 7 days in advance of the disbursement date? Right? It's the actual disbursements that drive your dollars in G5. So you can originate to your heart's content, but until you actually submit an actual disbursement, there will be no money available for you in G5. So if you time it right, you can submit your disbursements up to 7 days in advance, and the funds will be there for you to draw and disperse on the day you told us you dispersed. For example, let's say today, let's pretend today is December 1st and my disbursements are going to be on December 7th. I can send my disbursement records in or create a batch online like we just did with a disbursement date of December 7th. Those funds will be available for you to draw in G5, usually by December 2nd or December 3rd, depending upon the time of day that you submitted the batch. Create the draw down so that it hits your bank no earlier than 3 days before that disbursement date, and the funds are there for you to disperse. That way you don't have to use institutional funds to disperse. You just have to time it right, because you don't want to have the money more than 3 days in your bank account, or you'll be in violation of our regulations. Okay? Cool deal. 5 minutes we have. We took a lot at the beginning. One last thing, and I guess I'm going to keep going, you said? Okay, we just grabbed your computers again. Wood was going to do this session, but I'm going to go ahead and finish it up since we're here. Also new this year, we have a new look and feel to our COD reporting portal. Most of you said you can't get your reports through SAIG, but there are a lot of reports that are posted right online on the COD website for you. You go and get those reports by clicking in the services menu, and then there was the URL that used to be there is the one at the bottom, and there's just a new URL now. That's all you should see. And you click on that URL, and it will take you to our new COD reporting portal. Anybody seen this yet? Yay, one person, 2 people, 3 people. Now you've all seen it, so you should all be raising your hands, right? All right. COD reporting portal. You're going to click on team content. When you click on team content, it will bring up school reports. There's also a user guide here that we've posted for you to help you navigate the reporting portal. Then you'll click on school report search. I don't usually like the way this screen looks, so I just wanted to point out to you that if you hit that little arrow button at the top, you can take this screen that just gets wider and wider as you go across to the right, hit that little button, and it collapses it so it looks neat and tidy like that. I like neat and tidy. Anybody want to see that again? See, so then you got your school reports, you went to team content, school reports search, keeps going across the deeper in you get. But if you hit the little button at the top, it collapses it down so that you've got little tabs at the top that you can go back and forth between. Going to click on school report search, and I'm going to show you all of the reports that are available to you. You guys are only direct loan schools, so it's just all the direct loan reports there. Notice there's a direct loan actual disbursement list. That will be all the disbursements that you reported in the last week. So it's not a year-to-date one. That's when you'd need to request that ad hoc and have it posted under file share. But you can look at your disbursements that you sent in for the last week. You can also see your counseling report, any PLUS applications. Those reports are run weekly and posted for you. So you don't have to get them through SAIG. You can see them right here on the COD website. And then the one on the far right side, the school monitoring report, that report is generated and it includes, if you're unsubstantiated, that will be listed there. And that means your disbursements don't equal your drawdowns. We'll let you know that in that particular report. Those are the ones that are available. But back to the search. You have to enter in your OPE ID, and after that you can leave it blank and hit search or apply filter. Or let's say you just want to look at your reports for the last 2 months, enter in a date range. You could even say I want to see a specific award year report. Those are all optional. The only required field is your OPE ID. And then you'll have all the reports that are available to you. You can filter them further if you want to, but if you click on the right-hand side, it'll pull up that report that you selected. It will be in comma delimited or Excel version. Keep it, save it, print it out. These reports remain here for most of them, I think about 6 months. Since this is a new reporting portal, only the last month's reports are currently there and available. If you need a previous to this last month report, you need to call COD customer service and they'll get it for you. But as this report keeps going, these reports, or this new look and feel keeps going, the report should be there for 6 months. Okay? And I always wondered how you get back home, and so I had them put that in the user guide. You can just click on the button at the top, the COD reporting portal. You can close the previous report that you looked at. If you don't hit the little arrow there, or the little minus sign, that report will stay open. So when I was testing this site, I just kept opening reports, and then I exited out of the site, and I looked, and I had who knows how many Excel spreadsheets open everywhere all over my computer because I forgot to close them down. So they do stay open if you don't close them. I know we're really low on time. Do they have time to practice, or are we out of time? We are 1 minute over. Did they have to leave the room? I mean, I know it's lunch.
Well, I think we need to give everyone the opportunity to get lunch. I know we've had people that came in from Australia at 10 p.m. last night, so...
Okay.
I suppose
sorry about
if
the
you...
practice time. I'm so sorry.
I'm guessing you all want lunch, yes? Because we've got another full session this afternoon, so I'm seeing some nods. maybe if you want to stay around, Barbara and Wood, and see if anyone needs help. I do want to apologize for the internet problem that we have. We do have our technical team working on it. Also, I wanted to just take a moment to introduce Matt Staples, who's over here with the red shirt. So Matt also works with Wood, and he is someone who will help you with onboarding. And I know from all the emails I get copied on that Matt and of course Wood take care of lots of you and answer all your questions. And I don't think anyone's had a chance to meet Matt in the past. So
Thank you. I'm so sorry. And I begged Matt, because we usually have several people helping us here. And I said, Matt, are you going to be here? He said, yes. And I said, come help us. And then I didn't introduce you. I'm sorry. That's Matt. Good dude.
It's Wood's fault.
Oh, it's Wood's fault? I love it. Okay. Wood and I will be here for at least 15 minutes, as long as we can stay in the room. So if you have any questions, we'll cut you loose so you can practice, or you can go to lunch. I apologize again for the internet. And they all are supposed to be back at 1.
hold on.
What
The
time
next
does it say?
session is
I'm sorry? Oh, 12:30.
12:30.
I like long lunches, but I guess 12:30.
So 12:30 back in here for NSLDS.